All right, Skylar, very simple question. Who wins the 2025 Masters Golf Tournament at Augusta National? No pressure, but you do have to get this right or we're never doing this show again.
I'll make it fun. I won't go easy. We won't go Rory. We won't go Scottie. But we're going to have a lefty wearing the green jacket this year, and his name is Robert McIntyre.
Wow. I got to be honest with you. That is not the direction I thought we would go. Robert McIntyre. You know, I thought maybe the popular answer right now is seeming like Collin Morikawa. A lot of people. Rory McIlroy is phenomenal form right now. So let's scroll all the way down to where we can find Mr. Bobby Mack, who is listed at, depending on where you look, some not great odds out there. You could get him at about 60 to 1, 55 to 1 if you really hunted. So why is Bobby McIntyre going to win the 2025 Masters?
Two-time PGA Tour winner last year, right? Canadian Open, Scottish Open. I mean, big-time events, especially Scottish Open at home for him. Masters debut finished 12th here, and he has not been back in quite some time now. Had to earn it through OWGR. Has been playing, I think, sneaky, like decent golf. If you look through, I mean, you have his profile up right here, right? I don't think people are really registering that the guy is kind of turned into a top 20 machine on the PGA Tour. Multiple top 10s out of the gates. The Players Championship was really good for him too. You know, it's a lefty golf course, and to have that kind of built in, I think he can hang with the top guys, and his approach numbers have been really good. He's trusted around and on the greens. I really think he can get in the mix.
All right. I mean, I think finding a new heir to the throne of left-handed golfers is kind of always up there, sort of always what we're looking for at this tournament. Anytime a guy flashes a little bit of form, gain strokes on approach in all but 5 of his most recent 25 tournaments. That's a big one that I look for at Augusta, because when I think about Augusta National, I mean, everyone knows it helps to hit the ball long. Everyone knows the greens are tricky. Everyone knows you need to kind of be creative with the wedges. But I think about the defining shots of what happens at the Masters, and I always think, well, who can give themselves an 8-footer? Who can stand there on 13? Who can stand there on 15 and say, I'm dead if I don't birdie 13. I'm dead if I don't birdie 15. Who can set themselves up? So I do like that. I suppose one of the most interesting things about this tournament is that Scottie is not necessarily at the absolute peak of his form right now. I mean, obviously, in consecutive events, T2, T20, T11, T3, T25, won the Hero World Challenge, won the Tour Championship. I mean, this is really the question: is Scottie Scheffler just going to make all of this a total, lost exercise, and he's just going to win this tournament by 4 strokes? What do you think?
I mean, until the Houston Open, I felt pretty confident, not in a Scottie fade, but like it was going to be a tournament, like that's basically last year I had the unique opportunity to knock it off my bucket list of going to Augusta on Sunday last year. And the tournament was over at the back 9. You know what I mean? Like Scottie had basically eliminated these guys by the 11th hole. And I did not feel like this situation is going to repeat this year. I mean, Houston, he finally flipped it back decently with the putter a lot. But no, I'm not nearly as intimidated as I normally am with him right now.
And look, I mean, those could be famous last words. You want to talk about a guy who gained strokes on approach. One tournament in the last calendar year has Scottie Scheffler not gained strokes on approach. He gained strokes everywhere. And I mean, he's one of the few guys. I suppose he's kind of like Rory in the sense that when he loses strokes putting, I mean, he's not going to win losing strokes putting, but he can still hang in there. I mean, how about a T11 at Bay Hill losing 1.16 strokes gained putting? I mean, pretty impressive. I'll say this. I'm not betting on Scottie. Don't know how intelligent that is. Data Golf actually last year had him as a plus EV outright. They do not have him as a plus EV outright this year for whatever for that might be worth. I will also do my yearly tradition. I mean, how do you avoid Rory at this golf tournament? This has got to be about the best form Rory has ever been in coming into an Augusta championship.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, right? I mean, 3 wins in the last 7 events, 2 of them, being, big time, signature events, the Players Championship. And of course, he shouldn't have done well. I think the Players was so encouraging for me in the sense that look at it the way he did. I mean, you have the profile up here, right? Those approach numbers were absurd. His putting was phenomenal. We know he's one of the best chippers in the world. I, it's just mental gymnastics, right? He goes to Houston to play to probably just get out of his own head that he's got to tee it up at Augusta, 7 days later, and plays well. Didn't play great, but the T5, backdoor was typical Rory. But I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a Rory hater. I think I put expectations on him like everybody else, and I don't I wouldn't be betting him personally. Like I just don't feel it for me. Still, I would love to see it, but I can't confidently rip it at 9-1, 10-1.
Yeah, and I mean, you're searching pretty hard to get those prices. I would say this: if you are,
it's lower than that, right?
yeah, if you want to bet on Rory, what I would say is, I mean, obviously this is going to be bad advice if you're betting, $2,000 on outrights and things, but the move at these major championships is if you have an account on DK, FanDuel, wherever, you will get some boosts. They'll give you a boost on like a $25 outright or a $50 outright or whatever. And I would say if you're wanting to bet Rory, I would probably say wait until you get that offer. I actually have already placed one bet on this major championship. I not huge into the futures markets, but I did hop on this one. Collin Morikawa is second in all of golf, 50 round moving average in strokes gained tee to green. He is actually above his career baseline in strokes gained approach. He's one of those weird guys who does gain strokes off the tee, and in fact has in his career he's almost been close to gaining a stroke per round off the tee, which is crazy for a guy who does not hit it that far. Now he also kind of has some of the same Rory related issues where he gets in these big moments, he makes pretty big mistakes. It's not particularly great, but Collin Morikawa, I suspect, Sky, that he is probably going to be the most tipped golfer this week as we head in, and the numbers are not going to move that much. But what do you make of Morikawa at this edition of the Masters?
I think it's probably the sharpest bet that's out there, right? Because the public is way too nervous of him not having a win. I mean, outside that Zozo Championship, basically since he won, the British Open a few years back in big time events, it's kind of eerily reminiscent to me of what people thought of Schauffle at the Valhalla last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that sense where everything statistically is perfect, right? You just, if you didn't have a name associated with the golfer, you'd be betting this person at 16-1 every single time. And that was really close to, I think, the number Xander was too at that PGA Championship. And wins are fickle in golf, right? It really is. Did he blow the API, or was it because Henley chipped in on 17 or 16? Like that profile is what you'd exactly want heading into Augusta. I would like I don't know. I used to be so more distance orientated here. I think Bryson's like demythified that in a way that I don't think it matters near as much, but he gains off the tee. And he's as good as anyone iron. So I think he's more deserving to be closer to the guys at the top.
100%. And I think, I mean, your analysis could not be more correct, which is it is about how the golf betting public views him, which is funny for a guy who has won a major championship. I mean, I guess the way people talk about him is they didn't count. They were COVID championships. So like, the fans weren't there as much. It wasn't as nerve wracking or anything. But I mean, for a guy who probably a lot of people are feeling spurned by, it's pretty unbelievable final year for him. I mean, T3 at the Masters last year. You will hear just a word of caution. You'll hear a lot of things, a lot of rules, right? Very similar to March Madness analysis. Oh, anyone who T5 last year doesn't T5 the next year. No one wins back to back. I mean, maybe that is helpful for you the way, the royal you. I would kind of disregard stuff like that. So if you did hear, oh, you can't jam Morikawa because he T3'd last year, I would go the other way on that. So he is the only guy that is on my card right now. I think basically all the other plausible winners, we've talked about Rory, we've talked about Scheffler, we've talked about Morikawa. I think all the other plausible winners, frankly, are in this next group of guys. Rahm, Bryson, JT, Hideki, Cantlay, Niemann, Connors, Lowry, Henley, Xander. And I'll toss Ludvig in there, and we can get into his game a little bit more specifically. I guess kind of how are you handling the live guys, and specifically Rahm and Bryson? What just kind of what's your general feel there?
I don't feel good about Rahm. I think right now, I guess he's been consistent on live, but like consistently not really winning, and he should be like lapping the fields, I think, of his talent. And the books, I don't necessarily think are giving you a break either, right? Like Brooks, like you could like make up the narrative type of thing, right? I mean, Brooks is double the price. I don't really believe that anymore of what we've seen in Brooks in major championships, but like if you got a discount on Rahm, I think you could wrap your head around it. Of course, he won 2 years ago, right? But to me, I would still like to see more dominance from him. And Bryson's so set up well at like a PGA championship and a US Open that I don't care as much about his. I mean, Bryson shot 3 over yesterday at Tyrell to lose his 2-stroke lead on Sunday. Like, it's not the most encouraging thing. I do like that we're starting to get live strokes gain stats. I think that's important. I don't know how trustworthy they might be, but it's at least good to have a profile and know that the most dominant driver in the world is doing exactly that. I mean, he was in the mix through 36, 54 last year before he kind of found a way to lose the tournament or let Scottie run away with it. But I don't
more than in the mix. He was more than in the mix. He definitely could have won. He went full Bryson. He went like more than full Bryson on the back 9 on Saturday, where it was like, oh my God, like not only is he going to win, he like might just run away with this. He's just going to eagle all these. Remember, he's sitting in the opposite fairway on 15. And
carried that cross.
Yeah, he's just he was just blowing it. I mean, that is just all it was, is Bryson. And look, if you're gonna bet on Bryson to win a major championship, you are just gonna have to make peace with the fact that like that is always possible. He might be up 4 strokes and be like, no, the only correct way to play this hole is over the tree, bounce it off of this mound, use that as my backstop, and then chip in. I think he probably is the most talented golfer who is sitting in a range that is low enough, like that you're going to get 20-1. Like if we're just judging on who is a guy who can actually just go out and fire a 64 like without breaking a sweat, it's definitely Bryson. His length and his distance is so long that like the efforts at Augusta that they've done to tiger proof the course, he like makes an open mockery of them. I mean, I have not bet him yet, so don't let me sell you guys false promises. I would say I'm probably about 95% certain to end up betting him at some point, and I definitely like him in the draft games. I'm going to be playing a ton of him on DraftKings. I'm going to be I'm assuming that his ADP in the draft games on Underdog is going to be after Rahm and Morikawa and these guys, and like no one is going to play better scoring golf than Bryson. And I mean, he's won a major since leaving, since being on. He's one of the few guys who's like, no, I can still really play. So yeah, I like him more than Justin Thomas. I like him more than Hideki. What's your take on that?
I mean, so for me, I don't think I'm there yet with like an outright, but he's 9,900 in DFS, on DraftKings this week. And if you look right around him, like you said, JT, Hideki, below him, like people are still going to likely click more on Xander, even though there's a question marks than Bryson. So if you find a low owned spot, Bryson in major championships is probably worth always being overweight the field in that manner. If you're going to get him single digits, I don't know how it's going to flip. I mean, it's Monday right now, right? I mean, you have Data Golf up right now, like they think pretty highly still of Bryson, so that might cause some steam versus somebody like Schauffle here. But I'll be curious where that lands, because you're right, his scoring profile is much more suited to the underdog DraftKings type of way. If you can hold on to a win, then it's, icing on the cake.
Yeah. So then this next range of guys, we've got Justin Thomas, Hideki, Cantlay, Niemann, Fleetwood, Connors, Lowry, Henley. Actually, you know what? I'm going to amend my answer. Most tipped golfer. I'm going to change that from Morikawa to Henley. I've been online for about 4 hours on Monday morning and already seen about 17 people mention. So Henley falls in the bucket that you want of an Augusta winner. I believe it's like top 25 official world golf rankings, top 20 in all strokes gained categories, with a win in the last calendar year. Like these insanely small buckets that people create. I like Lowry as well, but give me your favorite of this range of guys in terms of the outright market. Thomas, Hideki, Cantlay, Niemann. I mean, we don't have to talk about Tommy Fleetwood. He's never going to win a major. Sorry, Tommy.
I want it for Tommy though, man. He's been good. I mean, last week was a little bit more of a tough one, but I mean, I think Henley is in the spot that he is from the tips because he's a decent number still. You know what I mean? Like, I get people probably struggle to wrap their head around 55-1 Russell Henley at a major championship, but again, blurring out the name, that guy is probably more deserving at 35-1 than Joaquin Niemann, who's never done that before in a major championship. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the thing where, I mean, you win, you compete. You was in the Masters final group 2 years ago, I believe it was, like sneaky top 5 at the Open, a 7th at the US Open. Like, Russell Henley is a great golfer. I don't want to sit here and just say chalk and say like, that's the best selection here, but the leap of faith to go to Niemann at 35, for me, that's too much. Corey Connors, he probably shows value in a sense of like that profile, that type of golfer should be somebody who delivers at Augusta once again. But I don't think I'm sitting here on Sunday being like, I'm a true believer that he can win the Masters despite being in some really good form. I mean, you could argue last week he kind of blew it too. Had the round of the day, goes bogey double into his last 2 holes on Saturday to fall out of the picture completely. Let me see. So JT's probably the other one. If you pull back up the odds, right? JT's in this range. I'm curious how
get him like
you can get him like
25-1.
Yeah. What is your take on JT?
So I really like JT's game. Now the US Open, the PGA that he won, I don't even remember who was in the final group with him, but I had the other guy. And I remember being sort of,
it was like Hideki and like Molinari and like all those. Yeah.
It was someone, but I remember being a little bit tilted. JT is a hard guy to put your handle on from a database perspective because his data for the last 2 years is all messed up. And he's given varying reasons for it. He's been like, oh, I was hurt. Oh, I started eating a bunch of healthy food. I stopped eating pizza and hot wings, and I was eating really healthy, and I was doing yoga, and then it messed my swing up. And then he got a new caddy or he got a new swing coach in the middle of that. And
he added a drive, like a longer driver, and yep.
So you look at the data of the last year and you're like, okay, well, you're worse than your baseline from when you were awesome. I mean, look how low his data golf ranking got. He got all the way down into the 70s in his data golf ranking. He's now all the way back up after some better results. But even in the middle of all these great results, he's had tournaments where, I mean, for a championship golfer, half of his most, like, if you like 50% of his most recent 10 events, he has not gained strokes off the tee, which is just like, that's hard. That's hard to deal with for a guy who I don't think is like a total wizard around the greens or anything like that. So it's not that I would never sit here and be like, oh, Justin Thomas can't win the majors. But I'm like, I don't know, if I'm looking at someone of this profile, I would rather do Corey Connors and say, I hope Corey Connors forgets that it's Augusta and forgets that he's Corey Connors, and just because Corey Connors has the total, I mean, Corey Connors is the Bryson profile, just not quite as good. Like his profile is awesome for this golf course. So I would rather bet Connors at 60-1 than Justin Thomas at 25-1. Not that Justin Thomas is bad. He just probably won't be on my card.
Yeah, I struggled with him a lot this year. I think his personality just kind of bugs me, and I'm not somebody who really gets too upset by people, but something about JT just gets under my skin, a little bit. So I don't find myself having 2 active positions on him, but I think he could be in a spot where I don't know. He gets a little squeezed if some of the other guys land there. I thought somebody who I was very high and who's priced in this range, who has been awful on live. The one guy that I was going to take some chances on was Tyrell Hatton. Now he's 40-1. Now Hatton hasn't had a single, I think, top 5 on live dating back to like middle of last year, back in the UK, I think it was for him. But
Yeah.
What was always interesting to me for Hatton is when he comes and plays the DP World Tour, which I respect a lot, right? I mean, I cover it hopefully as much as I can here. And Hatton like is 8-1 in those tournaments, 9-1, you know, like the clear, like he competes with a Rahm or Rory in those type of events. So he finished top 10 at the Masters last year, and people have the connotation again, Hatton can't compete at Augusta because he's a head case, which he completely is.
He totally is. Yeah.
I don't view it enough to like rule him out, but I'm hoping for some drift on Hatton this week. He's 40s right now, and I do not think he will be popular. You get me a 50-1 or so, 60s on Hatton. Like, I'm pretty intrigued there because I think he is sneaky, like probably the third best player on live. I would say third best for me. I would almost take him over Niemann, and people don't agree with that.
I mean, I think the evidence is pretty clear that when he really tries, it's just, I mean, he won like Tyrrell Hatton, the most English guy, you know, like, yeah, of course he won the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship because he really cares about that and he really wants to do it. Now, I don't remember at all this miscut at the Open Championship, but that's a weird course. I mean, it is what it is. Weird stuff happens there all the time. You know, in that range of guys, like, would I rather play some of him? You want to know a live guy who is getting some pub is Sergio.
Yeah.
I've seen multiple people mention Sergio. It's like a golf course that we've seen a lot of older guys be able to compete just like basically through like sheer ball knowledge. He's playing very well on live. He's played well at major championships since the live thing has happened. Can you see yourself taking a stab on Sergio?
Yes, absolutely. Like, I think he is now, like, why I really wanted strokes gain stats is to see somebody like Sergio, who is a ball striking wizard, even at his age, like against anybody. And it's proving it. I mean, last week in Miami, he was in the mix of it. He just missed out on a spot of earning into the Open Championship with that fourth in the Asian Tour. The top 3 got spots. He missed like a 3-footer in typical Sergio fashion on 18 to knock it into the Open. So like he clearly wants to compete. And I think that's a little bit different than some of the other live guys. I don't know that, like, I trust Sergio, like, is teeing it up with an edge. T12 last year at the US Open too. Like, he does it in an exact way. I mean, I thought he was going to go back to back. I've been betting on Sergio since, 17 or 18 at the Masters, since he won when like Leone, right, that week. So I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. He is probably a guy. Something that I'm going to be doing a lot is just like sweating out these like T10, T5 parlays. It's just that the T5, T10 parlay is a great way to enjoy your 4 days of the Masters weekend if Scottie wins by a touchdown. Like the whole thing is, okay, if Scottie wins by a touchdown, how am I going to want to be watching on Saturday and Sunday afternoon? And the T5, T10 parlays, I could definitely see tossing him in there. All right, we got to talk about one of the ghosts of this event, because I've found myself saying this sentence a couple times this year. Is Jordan Spieth back? Is he close to back? Is he playing well? I mean, honestly, I would say, based on the times that I've played him on DraftKings and bet on him this year, he's the most Spiethy that I can remember. But the results in terms of the data, not there. I mean, look at his rolling stroke average. Like, we're talking about a average to below average tour player, but it's come with some of these really high end results. The T9, the T4, the T25 at the Open Championship. Obviously, the Masters is like the stone worst place to bet Jordan, because his number is always terrible because of the course history and everything. But it's also one of the spots that, I mean, heading into it, basically 50 of the 95 guys who are teeing it up like can't win at all. Like, just we could run the simulation a million times and they would never win. Jordan is at least in the group of guys that if we ran the sim enough times could win.
I've been keeping close tabs because what happened was the injury last year with him, right? That wrist.
Yeah.
It was very hard to quantify and like from a projection standpoint. So I played a ton of Jordan Spieth last year and got pretty killed by it. You know, he was just because of the sense he didn't really deliver and you'd think he'd be back. And now he hasn't been open that he feels all the way healthy. Like he said, his wrist still jams up a little bit when it's cold out. But like to your point, you follow him or you shot track him, the dude will go birdie, birdie, bogey, birdie, double, you know, versus just a traditional, you know, even par. And that is so profitable in showdown. It's so profitable in draft games. Like I think he is very much in play this week. Do I think he's going to win? I thought he could at Texas last week and wanted to kind of see that hype get in there, but he fell off after the first round. But I am very interested in DFS because for that profile to show up, it's basically Bryson in a way of how they score, you know? So like, and if it squeezes at all, like, I don't think he's going to, I don't know. Do you think he'd be popular, like based off of just because people really like him?
No.
I don't think those things.
There is kind of this misconception, like in DFS or in betting, that like, oh, this is the Masters for as popular as it is it's not the Super Bowl. You know, like Jordan is like 35-1, but like if golf was as popular as people thought it was, he would be like a Tiger number. He'd be like 11-1 or something. Because Jordan Spieth is, I mean, like it or not, he's, I don't know, one of the 5 most popular golfers in the world. He's one of the few golfers who like probably can't go out. Like some of these, like, you know what? Ludvig Aberg can like go to the store if he wants to, and no one's going to stop him. Like, maybe he'll get recognized, but like he can live his life. Like Jordan Spieth is famous, and he's at 35-1 to win this tournament. So I don't think it translates. I think his ADP in the draft games on Underdog will be fairly low. I bet Brooks will be more owned than him on DraftKings because the narrative about, oh, Brooks doesn't even care about golf, he just shows up to majors and wins is way stronger than the Spieth stuff, I think.
Yeah, and we have like a range of, you know, I mean, Spieth is 9K, Brooks is 9,400. You have Fleetwood if you're playing just projections 9,100. Lowry below. I think you're gonna flip it, and Spieth is gonna be 5%, you know, probably. Yeah. Which at that point, if you are buying into a narrative type of thing, I think that's where the angle for Spieth is. But I love this kind of range right on the board. We talked Sergio already. Spieth, we opened with McIntyre, but I mean, guys like Minwoo Lee, who just won recently, right? Like Minwoo Lee, from a profile standpoint, has delivered in major championships because he can play really, really well off the tee, has epic short game, just hasn't fully come around with a consistent iron play, but he's gone low at Augusta in the past. I think he's interesting. I think Patrick Reed, who was also in Miami playing well, he's somebody who, if you talk about like just the Spieth vibes around Augusta, Reed is right in that same range. And then the one that I'm super curious, if you pulled up his profile too, is Will Zalatoris. Zalatoris has started to really show those characteristic signs of ball striking for Willie Z. So is he somebody who is all the way back? And are we getting a number on Willie Z at his favorite course, basically?
Man, I tell you what, I will never forget this one right here for Willie. This this T6 at the Masters should have been a W. I had him our friend, our mutual friend Nelson Adcock was big on this, of like the fuzzy Zeller, the debutant thing. It doesn't matter. I had, you know, a relatively big outright for me, and I was like, wow, I'm a genius. He is going to win this. I basically, I mean, look at these results in 2022. He basically felt like one of the best golfers in the world. He gets hurt. I mean, he's brutal in 2024. Look at all these miscuts. Look at how hard it was for him to gain strokes off the tee. He has like events where he's like getting dominated. I mean, he looks pretty healthy to me. Maybe not back. And he still he is one of the worst putters on tour. And he's bad in a way. Like, you watch Benny Ann putt, and I'm like, you're just bad because you're just bad. Like, there's not any logic to it. And maybe someday you could be good at it. But Zalatoris has like a mechanical reason that he's bad at it. Like, you watch him putt and you're like, I'm a terrible golfer. You know, I'm a 15 handicap and I could basically hit the ball about as good as you. And I don't know why that is, so it's hard to win when that is happening. But yeah, I mean, why would you not want to bet on Zalatoris at these prices to win? You can get a 65 on DraftKings. You can get there are good numbers out there on Zalatoris.
Yeah, and normally you get like a sniff of hype from him, and he crashes in major futures. So I liked him quite a bit, kind of in this range. And I don't know if like we haven't talked some of the bigger dogs, right? Like a Xander, like a Ludvig. Hovland just won, recently too. Like I don't know. You can poke holes, and honestly, probably everybody but Rory, and then Rory's is just the Masters like hangover type of stuff for him. So I don't know, man. There's a lot in play this year.
All right, well let's talk about the big guys. So we've got Xander, who is not having a good season, dealing with injury. We've got Hovland, who can't chip. We've got Ludvig, who just like is, in my mind, just not quite there yet. And then Brooks, who I think, so funny. I loved Brooks. I loved like Challenger Tour grinder. I'll play every event, Brooks, and then not a fan of bleach blonde Liv Brooks. These guys are classic combination of the public likes them more than I do. Data Golf, not in on them. I'm assuming the ETR projections are not going to be particularly good on them anyways, but the deal you're making. Like if Victor Hovland wins the majors or wins the Masters, I'm going to be like, yeah, sure he did. He's very good at golf. And that is just like, you're playing with fire when you fade these guys.
Yeah, and I mean the best time to do it was plugging your nose blind when he was off of 3 missed cuts, right, at 3%. Like I tried it at the Players Championship. He was so bad that I didn't have any interest in the next week, and then he wins at the Valspar. I mean, so I guess if we talked about Hovland, if we start at the top, Xander's. So Xander's like the really interesting one. Like at the Valspar specifically, played okay. Approach was awesome. He is a reigning current holder of 2 major championships and probably not getting the credit at all of what that means, in a sense of like legit 1B to Scottie's 1A 6 months ago. Right. And now here we are, we're making him 50-1 in some spots. And like, not the markets, but like if you run your own kind of numbers, he's a very tough one, because I think you could flip it on Thursday and he's as low owned as Spieth, right? You could get 6-7% Xander Schauffle. And if that approach number is a highlight into the rest of his game, like that is a spot where I think you could get really like IKB and just be like, he's a better golfer than what everything says.
I mean, that's kind of how you differentiate in these spots. Like if I think about kind of like legendary examples of guys totally getting one over on the field, and this happens more in golf because they run like a 4-4-4 on DraftKings. Like they run like the bigger millies. Could be someone's like, oh, I just locked Bryson. I just locked Brooks or whatever. The best I ever did was actually it's very annoying, the 2019 one that Tiger won. I locked Xander and Cantlay in my MME set, and they finished second and third.
Yep.
Now Xander could have won that. It's totally lost to history that Xander could have won that one. He double bogeyed 18 on Thursday, and he made par on 15 from middle of the fairway. Not that I'm mad that Tiger won, but I think Xander is a good call. The thing with Hovland is I feel like his first major championship is like pretty unlikely to be Augusta. He feels like a PGA to me, where he can kind of just overwhelm the course. He doesn't have to make a ton of putts. I mean, look at these. It's so funny, man. He has done well in major championships while like T13 at the US Open while losing strokes around the green. That's how good he is off the tee, and that's how good he is on approach, but it's just a very hard tournament to win that way.
Yeah, that's the fear. I mean, that is the absolute fear of like, and I don't think you can get by here with no short game. You know what I mean? Like you just can't. You'd have to hit every single green, and he's okay putting, but you are going to have to face difficult chips here to score on par fives, to save yourself. Like I worry about that at his price.
Yeah. All right, let's get into, I guess, are there any other big high profile guys that we need to talk about? Jason
Pull up
Day.
Aberg just to talk about him. Yeah, let's talk about Ludvig.
Okay. All right, here we go. Ludvig. He's okay.
He's been like killing me this year, dude. It's been killing me. Like, I haven't gotten him right once. I really don't think so. Like, I mean, the win at the Genesis after being sick, the 2 weeks prior, like it was a bad run out. I mean, the back-to-back missed cuts, I was on him at the Players. That sucked. I don't know. Like, he's runner up. I mean, he did the Zalatoris, right? Like, debutant who was in the mix. I kind of feel like he has the ability to storm the field, right? He can putt, he can chip if he's okay with it. Like, but his ball striking is so good. I don't know. He's the one I'm struggling with in this range.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been doing a little bit of boomer research. And by boomer research, I mean, I'm a member of the USGA, so I get their magazine that comes out every month. And the cover of their magazine this month is Ludvig is the cover boy. And it's his quote is, "All I care about in golf is winning the Masters." It's like all he's been working on, it's like his focus of the last year has been, what do I have to do to win at Augusta? Now, I don't, what does that mean? Does that mean he's been practicing on crazy fast greens? Does that mean he's been hitting off of pine needle at his practice? What is that? I don't know. I didn't read the entire article, but I do know that is out there. I would say, again, I would say of these guys who are in bad form, who are overpriced relative to their baselines right now, I would be most terrified at going in with none of him. Like, I would rather stone fade Brooks, Hovland, and Xander than go in. Like, instead of going, oh, and my MME said I'm going to go 5% of all four of those guys, I would rather just I'm going to go like 16% on Ludvig and just stone fade those guys, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, Ludvig's price is 10.8. He's the third highest priced golfer too. Like,
he's going to be like 2%.
Right. So like that, to your point, like how you win something like this, like especially how big, the contests are, like that is something that him and Xander, like I agree with you. I was a big Brooks slappy back in the day too. And it's been hard. Like, we've all retraced quite a bit. And I think he deserves to not have nearly the amount of fans of what he used to have. But yeah, I mean, I just don't think he's really playable in a lot of senses unless you just truly think he's going to win. So yeah, Ludvig and Xander to me are the ones that are making me think a lot leading into Thursday.
I do like Minwoo. You've got the correlation of Australians always play well at Augusta, which is just like one of those very funny things. I've never known why. It's also, if you guys are casual golf fans and you've never heard Minwoo Lee talk, it's an absolute trip to hear that voice coming out of that guy. It's very, very funny, but he's a fun watch. And I think he's, crafty and good around the greens. We've got Cam Smith, no thanks. Keegan Bradley, a little bit of small value there. Finau, someone's going to talk themselves into that. But let's start talking about, T5s, T10s, cheaper guys out there, getting a little bit down the board. When we get a little bit down the board, I'm surprised to see that the data golf is not that high on Sepp Straka, because Sepp Straka has, I mean, what more would this dude have to do? He wins the Amex, follows it up with a great week at Pebble Beach. He gains strokes everywhere. Occasionally, he will like totally lose his mind on approach, but I can't really come up with a reason why the markets are not higher on Sepp Straka.
He's a big game hunter too. I mean, he's done it in big events. Like, he's competed in major championships. I'm a huge Sepp guy. I think when he starts to get elevated and owned, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But when he's, cheap and not too in the picture, which maybe Augusta doesn't scream his name. I think he topped 20 here last year too. He's somebody, the iron game, it's like Scheffler-esque in a way. Like, it is so good. So, I mean, to do what he's done in major championships, I think he's very, very much in the mix. I think the one that I'm trying to wrestle with. We talked Sergio earlier. I think Sergio is a very strong, like top 5, top 10. Pull up Davis Thompson if you can. He's somebody that is just like, again, put me in a kind of a mental pretzel. He goes from, last year top 10 at the US Open. He wins the John Deere. Looks like he is going to be, like what the profile has him as that elevation of golfer, where major championships, ball striking phenom, gonna do it super slow out of the gates in 2025. Top 10 at the Players Championship recently, and I think he followed that up with another really good event right afterwards. I just think the raw talent is so good for Davis Thompson. He's got a low floor in him, but that's kind of where you get a little bonus in the odds.
Gains distance off the tee relative to the field, which you like. I guess it's so funny. Him and Davis Riley, which is funny because I very rarely find other people have my same first name. Normally it's a last name, first name. I could never tell them apart. I just, you put a gun to my head. No chance. Let's see. What do we have what do we have the odds for Mr. Davis Thompson? Cause he could be 140 looks pretty good. 140, 150. I don't know if I would bet that. I would maybe look more T10 for him is more like, plus 850, plus 750. And I had this experience recently where 2 weeks ago at the Houston, Texas Open, me and all my buddies bet Alejandro Tosti to win T5 and T10. Min Woo ended up winning that one, but I was like, guys, we made more on the Tosti T5 than we would have on Min Woo winning. So just because that is my own personal experience, I'm like,
but that's
way
the best
more
part about golf.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm way more into betting T5s just based off of that experience. All right, we're going to continue looking down the board. I think frankly, we are past the group of guys who can win. Like it's championship golf, like I love him, but we're just probably not going to see Denny McCarthy showing up there on Sunday. I would be fairly surprised, but there are plenty of guys left who are good T5, T10, and DraftKings plays. I think one of the biggest of which, we got to talk about Akshay. He is having a phenomenal season. Doesn't do as well strokes gained approach, does not gain strokes off the tee, but just like is a real form player. Are you in on Akshay? I believe he's lefty too as well.
He is a lefty. I really liked him last year, right? He came off of the win the week before at the Valero. He doesn't have the power that a lot of people, like to have here at Augusta, but again, I'm not as huge on that. The miscut defending his championship was a little frustrating, but he was so good at the Players before. I just think his ceiling, like versus people in this range, is you have to have that floor mixed in, right? He misses 2 cuts, but every other event is basically top 25, if not top 10 in the last 3, right? So I think you can definitely blindly, consistently play Akshay. It's hard to pick specific spots, I think, but like if you are allocating, I think Akshay for sure needs to be in the player pool.
All right. I'll actually give away a little bit of money here. I'm gonna bet this guy. I'm gonna bet Daniel Berger. He's healthy, man. This guy has been as high as Data Golf's number 4 player in the world, Daniel Berger, and he has been totally in the wilderness dealing with injury. I believe he had to play some Corn Ferry stuff. I think maybe even if I'm remembering correctly, maybe that's he got medical exemptions. He got some medical exemptions to be able to play, but he is coming off 7 straight made cuts. He's actually gained distance on the field multiple times, which is crazy for a guy coming back from his injury. He's got some like decent finishes. I wouldn't call him a big game hunter, but looking in the markets, you can get 125, 150, 130 on him. Translate that to a T5, T10. Talk me out of Daniel Berger, Sky.
at ETR this year, Daniel Berger's been the hardest player for us to really wrap our heads around, because like I think in golf you do well at this the way you look at it, but a lot of people look in short sample sizes, right? But if you're modeling, you're using 50, 75 rounds to build a profile. Half of those rounds for Daniel Berger probably shouldn't count, right? I mean, because he was fighting through the injury, because like, so if you make a player of just what we've seen in 2025, he's not 125 to 1 golfer, right? Like that's just not what Daniel Berger is right now. So, I mean, I don't feel as bullish as he could win this tournament. Like, I think he's still got some hurdles to overcome. But I mean, everything irons in. He has not been lost to the field pretty much, I think, one time this year, right? Farmers, pretty much. So, and I believe his first major at the Masters on day was like unbelievable on his debut. So I wouldn't question anyone being in on him because he's very hard to like quantify.
Yeah. Let's see here. What can I get on a T20 for Berger? I mean, that's pretty good.
Debut,
3-1 plus 250 for a top 20 for Berger. I think I can pretty comfortably. I think we can pretty comfortably do that one. All right, let's go down to our absolute punts, our long shots. I mean, we're talking about, sub $7,000 guys on DraftKings, guys who are deeper than 150 to 1 in the outright market, guys who are maybe even going to miss the cut in the easiest major championship to make the cut. Who are some of the guys that you are honed in on, Skylar?
Three. I would say Laurie Canter making his debut. Now, what I love about the Masters is we get so many prop markets too, right? Top debutant for Laurie Canter is something I'm super intrigued on. Rips up the DP World Tour. 2 wins recently, or he lost in the playoff just a couple weeks ago too. So he's somebody. If I'm looking at another market, which could be top senior, and he's the heavy favorite here. But dude, Phil is showing life on Live, man. Phil is showing a lot of life. Good iron play, was 3rd. Last week he was 7th in Miami, and he chipped. I don't know if you saw, he had a chip from short range that should have gone in, ricocheted off the flagstick into the water. So like Phil seems to be fully kind of at least back in this, 52-year-old version of himself. And then the last one is, if I'm looking in the low amateur market, it's Jose Luis Ballester is his name. He was the reigning U.S. AM champion out of Arizona State. He was top 20 at the Mexico Open with some incredible ball striking numbers. Now, again, these are like in those prop markets there, but I mean, he's, super long, and I think min price or maybe 6,100 this week. But Ballester is somebody that I think has talent way down here.
All right. I mean, some of these, it's funny to look down at the absolute bottom and be like, wow, I have wagered real American dollars on some of these guys multiple times. I mean, Thurston Lawrence, that is a guy that I have played. And in fact, I think I literally just finished doing a pool entry where I selected him in like the group of dust balls, like the group 6 dust balls. Some of the guys down here are like vaguely interesting to think about, like the Hoyard brothers. I don't actually think they're brothers. There's Nikolai and Rasmus. I never remember
twins. Yeah.
Okay, they are. Okay, all right. Which one do you think is the good one? This is something we've been. Is constant. If memory serves, the one the nerds like is Nikolai, but Rasmus has been better than him.
I think Rasmus is better, but Nikolai had the lead last year on Saturday at the Masters before, like he put 3 balls in the bushes, but he was there.
Yeah. All right. One last guy I want to talk about before we get on our way. I mean, what has happened to my beautiful boy, Matt Fitzpatrick, winner of the 2022 U.S. Open in Oklahoma? I had that ticket at 60 to 1. He has always been near and dear to my heart. Is this dude, is he hurt? Has he tried to rework his game to add distance? I mean, what is up with Matthew Fitzpatrick?
It's bad, man. It's horrifying. Like he was like I felt like connected to him because he's a data nerd that like was excelling at golf in ways that people weren't even thinking through. I was like, okay, like this could be our guy. And that year was so validating. And it's the distance that he sought out for isn't even part of his game anymore. Like I don't know what's like. I mean, he's so far off my radar these days just because it's embarrassingly bad. He fired Billy Foster, his caddy, who is a legendary caddy, you know. I mean, the other one you could say in the same range, if you think about 12 months ago, Max Homa was in the final group for the Masters, and he's basically had the same fits fall off. He just fired his best friend, you know, it seemed like Joe Greller, who was his caddy. Like these guys are down bad.
Yes. Yeah. I would advise you not to do any of your own American dollars on Max Homa. That is professional advice. All right, Skylar. That was a good look at the 2025 Masters. Official plays for me right now. I'm going to toss Bryson on the list. Bryson and Morikawa are the only two that I bet thus far. I will be tossing some more stuff out on Twitter. If people want to check out your data and what you guys have going on at ETR, where would you like them to go?
Yep, you can follow me on Twitter at SkyhookDFS. I like to specialize kind of in the long shot range, so I'll have a whole article writing up plays 7,500 and below there. And then this week, we've partnered at ETR with DraftKings. If you do a deposit this week, a $10 deposit or higher with promo code ETR, you will get a $10 ticket match for one free entry into that large millionaire maker that DraftKings is running this week. So excited. I mean, it is. I mean, for us golf guys, this is heaven right here.
Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be a phenomenal week, everyone. I hope that you guys enjoy yourself, and we will see you all next week on the other side.